There's a scripture that says, my people perish for lack of what? Knowledge. Not lack of trying, not lack of hustle, not lack of effort. We don't know what we don't know. And until we get to the point where we acquire this knowledge, we will be perishing, whether it's financially, physically, or what have you.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Welcome back to Money with Mission. Today I have Kelvin Harris, and we're going to get into a conversation about building wealth. I know that's what we talk about most of the time, but how everybody has a little bit of a different slant to how we build wealth. And I really enjoyed talking to Kelvin off screen, and when we met earlier, you'll have fun. So hang in there. Welcome to the show, Kelvin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am very excited to be here. And yeah, we did have a awesome first conversation. So I'm excited to see what this conversation will bring for both us and your listening audience.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, so one of my first questions that I ask most of our guests are, tell me your money story. How did you get to where you are today thinking about money from where you started? I'll let you go. Run with that.
Wow, that's a great question. How long you got? So I'll try to do the abridged version, but it's very interesting. So again, just as in way of an introduction and response to the question, my name is Kelvin Harris. My company is Kelstar Consulting. We're a business and financial consulting firm. Yeah. So my money story is interesting because, again, I didn't have a background in business, didn't have a background in finance. I graduated from Howard University with an architectural degree. So I got out of school and started working in that field. And after some time, I became what I think most people would consider successful. I was working with one of the top architectural firms in DC. I was making back in 2010 in that area, I'm making a good six-figure salary, which six figures really meant something back then.
Yeah, basically.
Say again.
You had arrived. Your parents were proud.
Living downtown DC. If anyone knows where 701 Pennsylvania Avenue, those very nice offices where we had luxury apartments on top. That used to be my residence right across the street from the National Archive. Pool on the top, traveling. By all indications, I was living what most people consider the American dream.
Uh-huh.
But then 2010, 2011 happened where one, the company I was with, they went bankrupt. So my salary went bankrupt with them. Mm-hmm. Two, I had two run-ins with the IRS. The first one was they thought I owed them some money. I knew I didn't owe them the money. I paid more money to my accountant to prove to them I didn't owe them the money. And eventually, after a long back and forth, they agreed, Mr. Harris, you do not owe us this money. Unfortunately for you, statute limitations are over. You're not getting your money back. So that was shock number one. Yes. Shock number two with the IRS. You're going to tell IRS is one of my favorite organizations.
Yeah, mine too.
Because now I'm not working because my company went bankrupt. So I'm expecting this pretty sizable refund. And I'm waiting. And then finally, mailman comes. I go out, pick up the mail, have a letter from the IRS. I open it up, but there's no check inside. So I'm reading the letter, and the letter says, hello, Mr. Harris, it's the IRS again. And we like to let you know we have taken the liberty of applying your refund to your outstanding student loan. Have a nice day. Yes, they can do that. So literally in an 18-month period, I was out $100,000. It was probably more, but I stopped counting at 100,000. So I'm not living downtown in the penthouse anymore. I'm sleeping on my brother's couch, and I'm literally thinking, okay, how did I get here? So that's what really started my journey on, I need to get this money thing figured out, and I need to get it figured out fast. And fortunately for me, I was able to do that, made some great contacts, and months, weeks, a few years later, story was totally opposite. Made $100,000 part-time, saved $100,000, paid off all my debt. So my money journey was interesting because it was a lot of times when I say this, it sounds weird, even when I say it now, but I would have to say losing that $100,000 was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me
You know,
because, yeah, ironically, because
because
it made me who I am today.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And losing your job and all those losses that make you feel like, what the heck? Because I was so on top of everything. Ultimately, when you don't let them keep you down, propel you to the next thing. I'm going to have you go back to before you started college. You started your money story in college, but I'm sure your money story started before that. So in your growing up, what kind of things did you hear about money? It's hard to come by. It's only rich people have money and rich people are bad. Did you have all that kind of stuff like I did? And I don't want to, I'm putting words in your mouth, I know, and I
No,
apologize for that.
no, and again, a lot of us have that. I think we had a fairly good upbringing. My father, there were a few times where he was unemployed, but he was just a very hardworking, dedicated sort of a person. He instilled that in us. So I think the story we got around money was you just have to work hard for it, but
Yeah.
not knowing how to make it work hard for you. So that was one.
Yes.
And then I remember, so I think my money story is a little different in terms of it being bad because I remember one of the worst tongue lashings I got from my mother. I got other kind, but this is the word tongue lashing when I misquoted a scripture and from the song, money is the root of all evil. My mother said the Bible does not say that. It says the love of money is the root of all. So don't run around here thinking money is evil because it's not, and we need it.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's
that's,
really good.
hmm yeah,
Good. Okay. So you had that and you learn most of it. You work hard and money will come if you work hard. And without the learning about the investing, you had the losses. Yeah. We'll talk about the IRS some more because I'm like, give them as little money as possible and let them come work for it if they want it.
yeah, yeah,
'Cause they
yeah.
will keep your money.
That experience has crafted my whole strategy with both myself and my clients. I'm like, we're going
Yeah.
to pay them, but actually you're going to determine legally how much you want
Yes.
to pay the IRS.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
they don't tell you. We don't pay
Yes.
you, but we going to pay you what we want to pay you.
And I think we don't think about that. When I start talking to my clients about tax strategy, I've heard actually, if I don't pay taxes, I'll be like a president we had not too long ago, that then it just makes you feel icky that you don't pay
Mhm.
taxes. You're going to pay taxes, but there are legal ways to pay as little as possible to zero. And just because our ex-president didn't pay taxes doesn't mean it was illegal. That you
Exactly.
can figure it out. You can figure it out. What do you want to pay? Let's figure out how to make that happen. I love that so much.
I do. And I use that example a lot, specifically back when he said that, I think during the base, he said, I don't pay taxes because I'm smart. And again, and what I tell my clients, I'm like, now, you've experienced, you've seen this individual. Do you think this person is smart or do you
Yeah.
think this person is smarter than you? So is it that he's smart or is it that he just knows something that you don't know? They're like, yeah, he's not smarter than me. I said,
Yeah.
okay. So then by default, he knows something that you don't know. Hey, no knock on him. The question is now, let's find out what he knows and then see if we can be as smart as him.
Yes. Yes. And if there's any smartness, it's about I know who to have on my team. And that's why it's like when I talk to women and talk to people, I don't have time to understand the tax code. You don't have to understand the tax code. You need to have somebody working with you that does, that you trust, so that you can maximize the benefits and decrease your liability to the IRS. It's the American way, is what we should do. We keep our money, and I know that the majority of people that I talk to are not selfish. And when they have their money, they're going to do with it good things to help other people. And so I think that's the thing we have to work through when we think about not paying taxes. My taxes go to help homelessness. They go to help blah, blah, blah. They go to help all the things that you want helped in the world. And we can see how well the government's doing on most of those things. But that's a whole nother
I said,
conversation.
but do they really?
That's
That's the
another
question.
conversation.
But here's the thing I would add next time you talk to your friends about the taxes and not having time to understand it. When I started after the losses, when I officially started my money journey, again, like I said, I was fortunate to get with a good group. one of the most surprising things to me, surprising to the point of, have you ever had that experience where you were mad and glad at the same time, that emotion?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like the
Often.
weirdest thing, but on my wealth journey, it was happening like daily, because one of the things that most bothered me is how simple these concepts are. And we just,
Yeah.
so that my industry, and I'm going to throw my industry under the bus, we make it seem as though it's complicated. I'm
Yes.
telling you, I'm here to tell you it is not. And I've taught this with eighth graders, and they're like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, I got that. The
Makes perfect
basic
sense.
concepts and
Yes.
principles around, like I said, you don't have to know the tax code. You just need to know the important concepts and principles around money and taxes. And you're like 90% there. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's amazing how uncomplicated this stuff is.
100%. And what I 100% agree with you, knowing that there are strategies out there to keep you from having to pay taxes is the first step. And then finding the person to help you work those strategies. Okay, I know there's something. If somebody says to you, there's no way you cannot pay tax, you're like, oh, sorry, next, moving on, find somebody else. So that is something that your company does, Kelstar Consulting. Talk
Hmm.
about how you got to that from sleeping on your brother's couch because the IRS took all your money, your company went bankrupt. How did you get to Kelstar Consulting and really helping other people keep from getting into the positions that you were in?
Yeah. So again, when I was on my journey, I was still somewhat in the architecture, building design, construction field, but I did at one point, I did make a transition based on some of the points you bring up. As I began to learn this information, and initially I was like, okay, hey, I need to get myself in order. I need to get my finances in order. But the more and more I learned, the more I realized, I'm like, hey, it's a lot of people out here who don't know this information. What's up with that?
Hmm.
And the organization I was with, they're like, hey, if you want to come in and we'll help you get your different licenses to be a financial consultant and things like that, and knock yourself out, help as many people as you so choose. So that was what was the pivoting point, because I just realized, yeah, it's great to get this information and use it for myself, but I just couldn't in good conscience not pay that forward, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I just changed the structure of Kelstar Consultant and focused more on business and financial consulting.
Those
And
mad
yeah,
glad moments, mad glad. I'm so angry that I didn't know this. And I'm happy that I know it. And I'm so angry that so many other people don't know it. And
and
that's
I'm
that.
happy that I know it, but I'm angry that it took this long, this many years old before I knew this. Like literally, I could learn this in high school.
Yep.
If it was a course, all of us would have got A's. That's how simple it is.
Yes.
Yeah. But of course, it's not a course in high school.
It's not a, and we could talk about why that is too. Okay.
Hmm.
So you have your consulting business, you're helping small businesses, you're helping individuals maximize their financial gains, maximize. Talk about investing. What are you doing on that side for yourself? And then I understand you're doing some real estate development and those kinds of things too, using your architecture background with all of your financial knowledge. Talk about that for us.
Okay. So let me talk about my clients and then I'll transition, because a lot of my clients are either, I would say maybe a good 75% of my clients are real estate investors or real estate agents. So just in the course of what I do, I'm always looking for things to help support my clients, help them reach and achieve their objectives faster, sooner, and with less effort. But my basis for all of my clients, when they come in, I'd sit them down and I talk about my 5 phases to building wealth, just to let them know, when you're talking to me, everything we talk about is going to line up under one of these
Framework.
one of these silos in terms of building wealth. Because the first thing I want you to know, just because you make a lot of money, if you make a lot of money,
Hmm.
that does not guarantee you're building. So
Right.
you need to know the phases. So every conversation after this will make a lot more sense.
I want you to go back and say that if you said just because you're making a lot of money
does
We're
not
not
mean you're
building
building
wealth.
wealth. And
And
again,
that
that's
is
another one of those
so,
little nuggets. Yeah.
yes.
That's one of those
So,
things where, yeah, we're like that mad grind. It's okay. They just told me this, but look at Mike Tyson and it made $100 million. Look at almost every NFL basketball player for 5, 6 years after they leave the league,
it
they're
finished.
broke. So
Yeah.
making a lot of money doesn't seem to be the answer. And it's not, because this is, so what I tell my clients is, one, yes. So phase number one, or step one, yes, you need to make money. This is a capitalistic society. You need to make money. That could be income. It could be cash flow. You could have apartment buildings, Airbnb, whatever it is. You drive Uber on the weekend. I don't care.
Yeah.
But just understand that's just step number one. So you just got into the game. You did not win. Step two is now you need a strategy to keep the money that you make, because we have a regressive tax code, legally, of course. So the more money you make, the more money they take. So we need a strategy for that.
What is
Step number,
regressive tax code? You threw a word out there. I
okay,
want to make sure
regressive
we don't
tax
leave
code.
anybody behind.
Yeah, which simply means the more money you make, you go into a higher tax bracket. So if you make $40,000 a year, your taxable income might be 14%. But you make $140,000 a year, your taxable income is maybe like 28, 24%. So the more money you make, the bigger chunk of taxes, that's a regressive tax code. So it's almost like you're fighting against yourself.
Okay.
And I've actually had clients tell me, oh, I don't want to make any more money. I'm going to have to pay tax. I said, please
No,
never
wait.
say that to me
Right,
again.
right.
Wait, don't say that to me again. I said that.
Oh, that is such a mind shift change, because there are so many people out there that think, oh, if I make more money, I just got to pay more in taxes. Okay.
And that's the regressive nature of it. It's a logical response when you
Yes.
don't know
When you don't
what's
have the
out there,
information.
because it's like,
Yeah.
why am I beating my? I remember the first time I worked overtime, I almost wanted to quit, because I'm like, I pretty much got the same as if I didn't work overtime because of the
Yeah.
tax. So it was
Yes.
just great. All right. So step one, make money. Step two, strategy to keep your money. Step three, I use the term grow with my clients. Investments is in there, but I want to give them a different mindset. Grow versus investing. Grow has a different connotation. Growing is measurable, it's sustainable, it's predictable. If you have a plant, you put some seeds in the dirt and water and give it sunlight, within a couple days or weeks, when you're going to have whatever that plant is.
Gotcha.
That's
Yes.
how our money should be. Now, like I said, within there, we're going to talk about investments, but let me shift your mind a little bit. I want to grow your money so that when you're, hey, by the time I'm 65, I should have about, I want you to be able to say that versus, man, I wonder if when I'm 65, am I going to have?
I hope I will. Hopefully, all the praying and hope.
Yeah.
No.
Prayerfully, I'll have, yeah, okay. I'm a
Hope
praying
isn't a
person.
strategy. We'll say that again. Hope isn't a strategy.
Hope
You
is
gotta
not
have
a strategy. And I tell people all the time, I'm a praying person. I'm a spiritual person. Pray about something else. Don't pray about this, because this, you won't need to pray about this. You got a whole bunch of other things you can pray about. So save your prayers for the good stuff. We're going to take care of this right now.
Go. Okay.
So step one, make money. Step two, keep money. Step three, grow your money. And that's I'll just add this, that's the Warren Buffett step, because Warren Buffett has a quote: if you cannot figure out how to have your money make you money, you will work until you die. So he's really making my point about step one, which is make money. If it's you doing it, it's not going to work. Okay. Step four, protect your money. That's when the insurances and things like that come in, because it's not going to do you a lot of good to make it, keep it, grow it, and then have a accident, a slip and fall, a divorce, or something like that basically wipe you out and you have to start all over. And then last but not least, step number 5, transfer those funds to the next generation. So that every generation is not starting from zero. It's more like a race. You just hand off the baton to that generation and hopefully they can run faster, but they definitely will run farther than you were able to. Okay.
And hopefully when you're about to hand that off, or all along the way, you've been educating them so they know how not to lose everything you built for them.
Everything you
love it.
built.
I love yours. It's very much like my strategies. It's learn. So that's what do I have to do? How do I do this? Learn all the things you can learn about money and making it. And then you're learning to invest. I do use the word invest, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to learn before you invest. And so many people come in and say, where do I put my money? That's not the step first. That's not step one. Step one
That's
is
not step
what do you
one.
want your money to do for you? What are the different, there's a ton of different ways to get it there. What one works best for you? There's a whole bunch of stuff before where do I put my money? Once you get all that, now you're ready to put your money somewhere. You're ready to value your time, and then you're ready to enjoy your life. That's the passing it on part and
Mm-hmm.
enjoying
Mm-hmm.
all that you can. I'm like, I'm going to spend as much as I can. And I tell my kids, kids, I hope you have some. I hope there's
I hope there's some left. That's after I have my fun.
because I'm having fun.
There you go. There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So
So
good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead. I was going to say, and it sounds like you work with individuals as well as businesses, or tell me your clientele.
I work
Who's
with
the perfect
individuals
client
as
for you?
yeah, I work with individuals as well as businesses. And I also, like I said, I work with a lot of real estate investors. So transitioning to the second part of your question in terms of what I'm personally doing, I'm the type of advisor, before I tell my clients to do anything, I'm like, let me do it first.
Yep.
Because
I
I want to
agree.
be able to say, because there's the way they say it works, and then there's the way it really works. So I'm going to vet
I'll
it out.
just mess up. Yep. Let me
Yeah,
figure
they're
out all
like,
the
oh,
parts.
this is what the brochure says. It don't work like that. So so on the personal level, my family owns some land in Florida, and I've been looking for a way. I came up with a development that I wanted to do, and I was looking for a way to finance it, and I stumbled across something called, the technical term for it is regulation crowdfunding.
Okay.
You'll hear equity crowdfunding, and specifically the real estate projects, you'll even hear real estate crowdfunding, but it's the same thing. It's a program developed by our former president, Obama, in 2012. And it basically was another shift, again, some other stuff we don't know about, where it shifted the funding, what they call it, investment funding environment, where prior to this legislation, if I wanted to raise money, if I wanted to create an investment fund, or I went to an investment fund to raise money for some development, if we didn't know each other, I could not solicit you. There's all these rules around how we'd have to get to know each other, or you'd have to be an accredited investor. So you want to think of something like Shark Tank, where
Yeah.
for most investments, you're going to people who already have money to ask them for money. So in essence, the rich were getting richer.
Yeah.
So what happened under the Obama administration with the crowdfunding, it allowed folks like me, you, or anyone else to go to the masses after we go through a checklist of things. And now we can go to total strangers that we don't know and ask them to invest in our project, because it's been vetted by the SEC and FINRA. So now that barrier between me and someone sitting in a cubicle who's interested in doing real estate investing, but just doesn't have the wherewithal, doesn't have the connection, doesn't know how to start, they can literally from their laptop see a project and like, hey, I really like that project. I'll invest 5, 6, 700, $1,000, whatever it is. So
I'm going to have you back up again just a little bit because we're tossing out words that we all understand. I want to make sure. And I think I have a pretty educated listenership, but sometimes people come in and they accredited. What does that mean?
awesome. So an accredited investor, let me get the terminology right. The accredited investor is someone who either has a net worth of $1 million, or either they and their spouse have made over $200,000 a year for the last, I think, is it 4 or 5 years? I can't remember right now. It's one of those.
Last 2 years and expect
Last
to
2
do
years,
so.
only 2? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was longer
Yeah.
than that. Okay, great. Yeah, because
Yeah.
again, I guess the assumption the IRS is making is that, one, if you make that kind of money, you probably know a little bit more about money, which of course is probably not
It's
a
not
correct
necessarily
assumption.
true.
But at least they're starting somewhere. But now that veil has been lifted, so the everyday person, because again, the point, what I don't think was so great with the program is when the Teslas or the Amazons and all these great ideals come about, the regular everyday American doesn't really get an opportunity until maybe way after the fact to get in on. When's the last time you received the IPO? Did you receive an IPO when Tesla came out? Because I did.
No, I didn't know anything about that one. I have learned enough to know I'm in some companies now that are about to IPO, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
Okay, so now what the crowdfunding has allowed is non-accredited investors to actually invest in funds that are doing real estate projects. So you can now
to
start.
basically get in on the ground floor of both real estate projects as well as businesses. So the regulation crowdfunding covers both. I'm doing a real estate project, so that's what I'm talking about. But
Gotcha.
You'll see energy businesses, you'll see health businesses, you'll see. I was on a pitch competition with some folks who had really nice concepts around some new types of bicycles, just different technology apps. So now the average everyday person now can get in on the ground floor of those opportunities through regulation crowdfunding.
Perfect. Okay, and then you have a project can you talk about your project? We can't just say we can't.
No, I can definitely talk about it. Absolutely. So my project is called the Forbes Farmhouse. Yeah, Forbes is because the land there is on my mother's side, and that's my mom's maiden name. Again, the concept is, let me talk about the challenge. I think we've had this land in our family for, I want to say, probably going on 5 generations. It could be more.
Okay.
Once upon a time, this is some land right outside of Tallahassee, Florida, which is the capital of Florida. At some point in time in my family's history, we owned 300 acres.
Okay.
We don't own 300 acres today. So that number has been dwindling. And while I was in Howard and coming of age, and I was hearing that we were selling off the land, I basically told them, hey, we're not selling nothing anymore. Talk to me if you need to sell it. But the challenge is,
I want to make sure, because I know people and many families own land and they don't see the value in it and only can see the money that you can get from selling it, not where you're going with yours. Your family wasn't seeing it. We need money. Let's sell it. Is that what was happening, or was the state taking it by eminent domain and all that kind of stuff?
No, that's what was happening. And there may have been some of that. For most of it, it was just being sold off.
Selling.
But so as I started doing my research around, just in my process of stumbling onto the crowdfunding, I'm just doing research in general. And what I realized is this is a systemic price. Whatever, if there's a word more than systemic, that's what it is within our community. I think the statistic is in 1910 was the pinnacle of Black land ownership in this country to the tune of 14 million acres.
1910.
Today, 1910, and that number sticks in my head because my grandmother was born in 1900, so she was 10 years old. So it makes sense because she was probably like second or third generation. Today,
how much land? I'm sorry, I want to get back to
we own 300 acres at some point. 1910 was 14 million acres nationally.
Okay, got it. Okay.
90% of that land has been lost or seized. Again, it's not. So what this whole project was to do is to come up with how can we stop the bleeding, stop the hemorrhaging, and maybe try to recoup some, because it does make sense. If you have inherited land, used to be farmland, we don't really farm anymore. All you're doing is just paying taxes year over year. Mm-hmm. How do you make the land income generating? That's when I came up with the Forbes Farmhouse, which is basically a 400 square foot single family residence, which is for both corporate rental. So just think of Airbnb with a longer stay and event space combined. So community events, weddings, corporate parties, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, what have you. So the design is conducive, and it basically looks like a modern barn. It has that same A-frame style. We've added a lot of glass and some architectural amenity.
It doesn't look like a barn. I didn't, just until you said that, I was like, it doesn't look anything like a barn.
It doesn't look like a barn because we jazzed it up. But if you look at the frame,
the way it's shaped. Got it. Okay.
A modern barn. Yeah, the shape is the typical A-frame, but we got to jazz it up because it's a residential.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. And
Yeah.
so,
So the idea was how do we do something that can be income generating? And we know I guess the popularity of the Airbnbs and the Verbos and the vacation rentals. So essentially this is what it is along with the event space. So between the vacation rental, I think the event space alone is going to more than pay for it and generate revenue. The vacation side, we may not even have to do that part of it once I start looking into the numbers. But it's
okay.
what's that low hanging fruit? How can we do something that's pretty simple, straightforward, that can generate revenue enough to produce a profit and at least cover the taxes on the property? So we're just not paying for the holding on to our legacy, which we should, but we're not financially benefiting from it. It's a financial detriment. So
Yeah.
that's how I came up with Forest Farmhouse through the regulation crowdfunding platform.
So you're saying that you help other people invest because you're making this a project that is available to invest in. And the profits, if I invested my money in this project, the way I'm going to make money is once that business gets up and running, now I'm making money on that. Yes.
Yes. So you are the business partner within this venture. So go back. I like to use Shark Tank as an analogy because a lot of people understand that. So when you see folks go before a Shark Tank and they'll ask for, hey, I want $150,000 for 20% of my business. The shark may come back and say, I'll give you $200,000 for 50% of your business. It's that back and forth. With regulation crowdfunding, you set the terms. So in my particular case, I'm giving a 12% rate of return and 20% of the equity. So anyone who comes in with their investment is going to be proportional to their investment. They're going to get a 12% rate of return on their investment. And in 5 years, when we do the refi, they will share in 20% of the equity. There's going to be a 20% equity share for all the investors. So with the crowdfunding, you set the terms. There's no back and forth. Folks who like your terms invest. Folks who don't like your term, they invest somewhere else.
Okay. So I want to just make sure that was clear to everybody. You have 100% of a thing, and your company is taking 80% and providing a 20% of it to be invested in. For 20% is owned by investors, and not one investor, but everybody in the crowdfunding balloon who invest owns whatever their proportion is of that 20%. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And
Then,
on top of that is also the rate of return. So basically, we're paying you for your investment at 12%, and you have a 20% equity share in the project itself.
got it. And your money, you expect your money to be gone from your life. If you invest $1,000, you're not getting that $1,000 back until 5 years when the project's refinanced. And then you'll
Correct.
get your 1,000 plus the 20% of the profits that made on the refinance. Yes.
Right. But during that 5 years, you are getting the 12% return. We're going to do, we get a check every quarter.
That's okay, guys. That's details, but that's cash flow. If you don't understand that, just bottom line, you're getting cash flow. Every quarter, you're making money from that investment proportional to what you invested. So if you put in a lot of money, your check is going to be bigger than if you like, I'm worried, I'm afraid, I don't have that much. I'm putting in $100. It's still invested. You're still making more money than if you had your money. Now, he said 12%. Where else in the world are you getting 12% on your money? You're not getting it in a bank. You're not getting it stuck on your mattress, carrying around in your wallet. 12%. So just think about that kind of stuff, you guys. It's like
12% secured. 12% secured against a real property asset.
So that's another big key. What's securing my money? Invest in the stock market, nothing secured. Your money's not secured to anything. That company goes away, you go away. This building is a thing. It's a real thing. And your money it's like you bought a house or part of a house. If that house goes away, if the whole thing goes away, now we still have this house that gets sold, you can get your stuff back. So it's just very important to understand the secured, how your money is secured. And by secured is like, what happens if something bad happens? And those are just things to learn as you start on your investment journey. So there's a lot going on here, and I really get that. So hang in there, listen to this a lot, because Kelvin's given a lot of information here, and he's got some more, because he's got some more land and he wants to do some more stuff. We've been talking about so many exciting things that are going to just, to me, make the world a better place. And we only can fix our little part of the world, and then watch the ripples of what we've done go out. And that's how the world gets affected. I personally don't think I can change much of anything but what I do. And I watch those ripples then happen and change other things. So what else you got going on down there, or in your head anyway? Because that's
Well,
what we are.
in my head. So again, the crowdfunding is big, and I'm super excited. And to your point, it's that domino effect or that ripple you talk about. I'm talking with multiple people now about other projects, other folks who, when I tell them my family story, they're like, yeah, my family, we have land in Virginia Beach. We have land in Georgia. And the same thing has happened to us. I'm like, I know, because it's been happening to us since 1910. But then what I also talk to people about, back to your earlier point, is regulation crowdfunding is great. Real estate crowdfunding is great. Airbnb, government contracting, all those things are good, and they're ways to make money. And like I said earlier, however we make our money, we're just starting the game. We're just into the 5 phases. And I spent some time with them, again, just very high level, helping them understand, just at a high level, to your earlier point, how easy it is for us to mitigate taxes, hang on to more of that money, and then put that money to work for us. Because that's really the key.
Yes.
If I can hold on to more of my money and then put that money to work, that's money I wouldn't have had anyway. So it's not like I'm missing anything. And now that money is working for me. So I have a laundry list of solutions and products I work with, but I've identified 4, I call them the 4 pillars of most of a financial strategy. That's a tax advantage or tax positive strategy. So the first one is something called a solo 401k. That's a solo 401k. Now, the benefit of the solo 401k, now this is only for business owners, people with no full-time employees. But if you're a physician or something, like I have a client, she's a physician, but she works 1099. She's on contract. You're your own person, so you can do this. Long story short, what happens is the solo 401k is not too different from a regular 401k, except for the fact that you are the fund manager. This is not Oppenheimer. This is not Morgan Stanley. You set up the account, and you can make tax deductible contributions to your solo 401k up to $66,000 a year.
Okay.
Now, and the benefit from that is that tax-free $66,000 that you contribute to your solo 401k, you can use that for what I like to call alternative investments, like real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, options trading, crypto. In other sense, IRS is giving you a tax deduction or to do what you probably were going to do anyway. So that's the first win scenario that I talk to my clients about. The other product or solution I have, or strategy a lot of people don't know about, is something called a private family foundation.
Okay.
Now, this is one of those things, when I heard about this, I was mad. I don't even know how long it took me to get glad. I was just mad for a while. Then eventually I was glad. When I got one, I was glad. When I opened mine.
So you guys, I'm about to learn something here. I'm about to learn. You're about to introduce me to something, and I'm probably about to get angry, but go ahead.
Okay. That's why I'm just confirming what you've already said. But like I said, it's just layers to this. So private family foundation is basically a combination of a charitable entity with your 501c3 married with a trust. So we all know the power of a trust. But when we put those two things together, It's phenomenal. So let's just go to the big aha moment. The great thing about the private family foundation is, do you know you can contribute up to, hold on to your chair, 60% of your adjusted gross income to your own foundation as a tax deductible contribution. I'm going to say it again. Up to, you don't have to do 60, up to 60% of your adjusted gross income, you can donate it to your foundation and get a write-off for it. So when you hear about LeBron James Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Buffett has a foundation, the Clinton have a foundation. Are these people charitable? Yes, they are. Do these people know something that you don't know? Yes, they do. Because it's a tax mitigation strategy. You make $300,000, you can put $180,000 into this foundation. Now you're only paying taxes on $120,000, but you still have control of the 180. And guess what you can do with the money in your foundation? Invest in real estate, invest in stocks, buy artwork, do loans, scholarships, pretty much whatever you want within the context of whatever that foundation's charter or directions are. But again, it's a way to do good, but also do financially good for yourself in terms of mitigating tax.
Actually, I never heard it said like that, but I already have that one. I didn't know. It's like, oh, I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay. All right. We'll probably get the one you don't have.
Okay.
All right.
I'm all about, once you learn something that you didn't know I didn't know that was a thing to know. It just opens up. Okay, how many other things out here that I don't know? It's just become such, I'd love every day because of that. I get a chance to maybe learn something that I didn't even know was a thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thing number 3, and this is called a fixed index annuity. Now, you may have heard of that. It's generally for people who've already accumulated some money, maybe it's in a 401k or an IRA, but they're looking to protect it. They still want the upside of the market, but they don't want to put their money at risk. Now, again, this is something that nothing like that exists. In order to make money, what's the mantra? You got to take risks. Actually, you don't. That is also not true. One of the benefits of a fixed index annuity is that you never lose money. It follows one of Warren Buffett's other rules. Warren Buffett has his 2 rules of money. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. That's the fixed index annuity. They can be structured, and I know annuities get a bad name, and some of them deserve to get a bad name. But like many other things, it's what they show us or what they tell us about. And then you ever go to a jewelry store and you see all the stuff in the front in the glass, and then some important person comes and they take them in the back room? What's in the back? Can I say what's in the back? Why can't I go in the back? This is in the back, right? This is what they have in the back. So it's, again, the fixed index annuity. One of the things you can do with it is create something called guaranteed lifetime income, which essentially you can create your own pension income stream that they take a finite amount of money and they give you an income stream that you'll never run out of. In some cases, that income stream increases with cost of living adjustment. The tax deferred growth can be it could be 10%, it could be 20%. You get the upside of the market, not down. A lot of times they'll even give you a bonus just for opening the account. Now, this is what we call a tax deferred. So the withdrawals will be taxable, but again, ideally your money has increased to such a point over what it was before. And in the case of the guaranteed lifetime income, you're going to get a check every month as long as you live anyway. So as long as that number is large enough, then it's a win. But again, just a product that most people don't know about.
Let me ask you about, because a tax deferred, that's fine. But you don't get rid of your tax strategies. So you do it comes out and there's a tax on it. But if I have a tax strategy that helps me even mitigate that
even more,
we're still ahead of the game. So it's not tax strategy is not a one and done kind of situation. I could get people to understand they need to talk to their tax consultant more than just once a year. With every big financial decision you're about to make, you should talk to them. How can I buy this house and have to pay less taxes? How can I make this a benefit to me in a tax way? And there's almost always a way to do it. That's the thing. There's almost always a way to do it. And I learned that the hard way by not doing it. I want people to stop. Don't do that.
Don't do that. And you bring up a good point that reminded me of something, because see, the analogy I give to my clients is it's like a puzzle. You have all these different pieces, but the question is how it goes together. You talk to your insurance person, they say, get this. You talk to your attorney, they're like, get a will, get a trust. You talk to your accountant, they say, get a self-directed IRA. Can somebody help me? How does these pieces fit? Does one help with the other? In the case of the fixed index annuity, the problem that it's solving is a major one, which is the following. The number one concern of retirees in this country today is outliving their money. So, like you said, the tax stuff is an issue, but what is the problem that this solves? If you're a person who concerned, I have $1 million, I have 2 million, or whatever, it's not hard to. You live 20 years or so, which we're living healthier. Medical science is better. It's nothing to have a 20, 30 year retirement. My mom is 97, and I'm telling her she's not going nowhere until when we get to triple digits, we can talk about maybe you leaving. And right now, that's not part of the conversation.
Well, let's talk advanced triple digits. Let's not 100.
So that's what I'm saying. At 100, because I know she might be ready. She might be like, okay, let me see what the next thing is. But until we get there, I'm not trying to hear.
Yeah. I'm going to 120 personally or further. So I got to get my stuff together.
Exactly. But the point being, all of these are different pieces of the puzzle. Not one solves everything. But when you combine them, the solo 401k, the private family foundation, the fixed index annuity, and I'm getting ready to talk about the last one, which is the IUL. Now it's just like putting a puzzle here. It's like, now I can see the picture. I was just walking around with a piece of the puzzle before. I didn't know it went with this. So the fixed index annuity, if anyone out there, you're in a situation where you're like, I'm concerned about running out of money, we have a solution for that. Okay. And then last but not least is something called the IUL. I probably do a lot of these just because this is one of those things. I literally did a presentation and I labeled it the best financial solution you've never heard of. Because 90% of people are like, why did I never hear of this? I don't know. I have my theories, but I don't know. So let me tell you what it is and tell you how it works, and then we'll move on. So it's a life insurance policy. It's an index universal life insurance specifically. Not all policies work like that. So that's the first thing you need to learn. But when used correctly, it works like a high growth savings account. Think of a Roth IRA without the limitation. You get tax deferred growth up to 13%. It also follows the Warren Buffett rules. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget it. So you never lose money. You can access the money through loans or withdrawals before you're 59 and a half. Now, for those of us who are beyond 59 and a half, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who are not, the constraints around IRAs and even Roth IRAs and things like that. We talk to people about tax-free income. And one of the biggest things, and this may really resonate with the doctors in your network, in most states, this is a judgment-proof product. What does that mean? You have $1 million in your IUL because it is a cash value product. You have $1 million in your 401k. You get sued, whatever, malpractice, whatever, divorce. That $1 million in your 401k, that's up for grabs. Better hope you have a good attorney. The $1 million in your IUL, in most states, can't touch it. Creditors, judgments, it doesn't matter. That was another aha for me, because I'm like, I didn't even know that. And I've been doing this for a while.
Is that because it's an insurance? Is it that because it's an insurance product? Okay.
It's an insurance product because why? The tax code has been written very favorably for insurance products. Why? Because some of the wealthiest 1% to 2% in this country utilize insurance products a lot. So let me just wrap up with some bullet points on the IUL, why I call it the best financial solution we never heard of. 1, your money grows tax-free. 2, your retirement income is tax-free. 401k is not, annuity is not, pension is not. Social Security is not if you make more than $40,000 a year. So don't retire on your Social Security and decide you want to go drive Uber just to make some money. It's going to be taxable.
Yeah.
You never lose money. We talked about that, even in a down market. So when the market goes down, in this product, you actually still make at least like close to 1%. You can access your money tax-free. You get market-like returns. Your contribution is tax deductible. So for businesses, I think you have to have a S corp. You can pay the premiums to this policy and get a tax write-off for paying the premiums. And then, of course, it's exempt from judgments, including divorce, protected from creditors, including bankruptcy. Again, there's a lot on that laundry list of things that most people would like if they knew it even existed, but we don't.
It is a well-kept secret that many people, you're not the first person that's given me this information. So the thing about, I have one of these too, you guys, I'll just put that out there. And whenever I talk about insurance, people, the first thing in your mind, a lot of people was like, I hate insurance. Okay, yes, we do hate insurance because you got to pay money for your house, your car, and all that, blah, blah, blah. But there are insurance products that make you money. And it is one of the best kept secrets of the wealthy out there. And Kelvin and I and a few other people are out here making it so that this is not such a well-kept secret, and more people are taking advantage of it. It's an amazing thing to me. It is one of those things that made me angry. What? And universities, banks, this is one of the things that banks use, and they buy these policies for their employees so that they have, it's just, okay, I'm about to get angry again.
I know. I can feel it. And I get angry a little bit more the more people I talk to. So 2 things I'm going to add to what you said, because you brought up banks, because don't get me started on the banks. So when people say, why did I never hear about this? I have to hold my tongue because I have a lot I could say, but I'm just saying, sometimes when I'm more calm, I say, okay, based on what I just told you, do you think the IRS really wants this promoted? Tax-free. You think they want people out here talking about this? Like, really? And 2, do you think the banks want to know, what are you getting in your bank right now? 0.0001%? And I can get up to 13% over here tax-free. So I'm not saying that they're the reason you don't know about it. I'm just saying they're probably not that happy that I'm talking to you about it, but there's nothing they can do about it because it's not illegal. And last thing, you talk about the wealthy. There's a book called Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. The subtitle is How the Wealthy Use Life Insurance as a Tax-Free Personal Bank to Supercharge Their Savings. There's actually a book.
You guys, there's what you don't know will lose you money. Get with people who talk about money. We have to stop being afraid to talk about money, because once you start talking about it, the stuff that comes out of somebody's, you don't know who knows something you don't know.
Exactly.
And go back to, just because you're making a lot of money, you have a 6-figure salary, mid-6, you could be making $500,000 a year. Just because you're making it doesn't mean you're growing your wealth. Just keep that in mind. Go to sleep with that and see if you don't wake up in the middle of the night thinking, I got to do something different. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Kelvin,
making money.
This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Amazing conversation. How can people get in touch with you?
All right. You can reach me at Kelvin.Harris. That's KELVIN.Harris at KelstarConsulting.com. I also have provided my Calendly link, so hopefully you can share that with the folks. My clients just call me. So my direct number is 202-460-7031. So you can call me. If I'm not busy, I'll talk to you, or I'll send you the link where you can set up a Zoom call or a 30-minute complimentary consultation. Because again, I always think back to the person that was living in the penthouse apartment over next to the archives. And what if someone had told me this before what happened to me happened? Where would I be now? Who knows? So I always have that in the back of my mind I want to reach people before this part of the story, because everybody has that part of the story. I was doing well and then something happened.
Yeah.
So I'm open to dialogue with whoever would like to hear the information.
For everyone who's not sitting down listening to this podcast with a paper and pen in your hand, number one, you're going to have to listen to it again because there's a lot of information. Number two, all of Kelvin's contact information will be in the show notes. So you go to the show notes. And while you're in the show notes, if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Okay. Kelvin, thank you so much for joining me and giving an amazing conversation and so much information. I suspect that your phone's going to be ringing, and just let me know. I'd love to hear who from Money with Mission podcast got in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
See you guys next week. Okay.
Can I leave with one scripture? My mom would probably be mad if I don't. So
have your mom angry. So go.
Yeah. She, like I said, she's chilling now. She's 97. So I try to keep her even keel. But there's a scripture that says, my people perish for lack of what? Knowledge. Not lack of trying, not lack of hustle, not lack of effort. We don't know what we don't know. And until we get to the point where we acquire this knowledge, we will be perishing, whether it's financially, physically, or what have you. Just want to leave you with that. And hey, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. And I look forward to engaging with you and your audience in the future.
Thank you so much. See you guys. My people perish for lack of knowledge. That's got to stop. Thank you so much, Kelvin.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.